Hello and welcome to the Leftover Rewatch. Good day, Melbourne. Sorry we're late, but we were waiting on Ethan. I don't like to call anybody out, but Ethan's usually the first one here.
That's some.
But he had to.
I'll take it. Let's go.
I thought he was Evie for a second when he popped up. I took a picture of him, and I was. My wife said, "No, look at it again. That's not Evie."
Jack, he was just trying to help. He's just trying to help a disturbed man.
Well, that's me. Caleb and I were talking before everyone else got on. I really enjoyed this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how good it was, and there's something in my eye. So,
yeah.
It's definitely one of those ones that's is the best that the Leftovers has to offer overall in general. Just an amazing confluence of everything they do so perfectly. It's great. Eckhart, do you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, it's Leftovers is interesting in that they have, and we see it alternating now. Last week could have been a story on its own, of a side character going on a quest. This week was all about the main characters moving forward and increasing the tension, explaining certain things to us, and then just showing us like how rough things can get right at the center of the story.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and it still goes back. It still goes back to the original with the departure.
Mm-hmm.
It's still affecting their lives.
Yeah,
almost 7 years later.
Yeah, and we'll get to it when we get to it, but I get it. I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I go, come on, move on. I get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we see Kevin and Nora. They're in line. The security lady she's not very friendly, is she? I mean, she's looking at Kevin's picture like going.
She's got a lot to deal with at this moment. So.
I get it. It's a rough job. I'm not saying. I mean, you're dealing with people that are cranky and all that different stuff. But she asks if they're together, and Kevin kind of looks and goes, and Nora says nothing, and he goes, "Yes, yes, we're together." So right there, Nora is like going, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm here with him. I'll have sex with him." But I'm not gonna tell any stories. But she has Nora has global entry.
Mm-hmm.
She has the special, and Kevin's like, "Well, I am a cop." She goes, "No, you can't have it." So right there, I'm thinking, okay, what is Nora doing? I mean, I don't think I would leave my wife and say, okay, yeah, I know I have the special entrance. I don't have to wait in the long line, right?
She's just being extra sketchy, right?
Yeah,
or skittish, I think is the right term.
Well, my husband, when he was able to travel with his job, actually has whatever that is, and so he would always go in a different
TSA.
Yeah, he would always go in a different line than I did. But yeah, for the sake of the show, yeah, it's obviously sketchy of Nora.
Yeah. I have my wife and I both have TSA. When we first got it, it was great because nobody had it. People would be waiting 2 hours in line. Suckers. Right. Now everybody has it. It's like, can we come up with something else that I can get that I can go in?
Well, he has a lot of film equipment, so
okay.
So he's kind of like a niche thing there.
Yeah, he's the guy you don't want to get behind.
All right, moving on.
It's like that, and you don't want to get behind anyone who has kids, right? Young kids.
They let kids get right through. I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know.
They let kids right through. Let's go.
Anyway, so Nora goes off and sets off the metal detector, and she goes, "Oh, wait."
Well, first she says to Kevin, "I'll see you on the other side."
But yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I thought she was talking to Desmond, but I guess it wasn't. But she sets off the metal detector. Oh, my watch. Oh.
Yeah, so like, did she do that on purpose to kind of draw attention to the watch and less attention on her? That was my thoughts. I was interested in what y'all thought.
My take on that scene was they were setting it up almost like, I was like, oh my God, is this going to be like the last time she traveled when she's having all those problems with all the equipment?
Good
and
point.
that was getting like under the nerves. And that was like, Ethan, you've used the term before. What is it, like a misdirection?
Yeah, misdirection.
it was like a Lindelof misdirection. Like, okay, I'm gonna make you guys think she's gonna melt down, but instead, no problem.
Well, but there's all these things going on everywhere that help distract it. Like that guy's trying to bring in a suit, a nuclear theme suit, and they won't let him in, and everyone's extra on edge.
Yeah.
Did Nora pay that guy to do that?
No.
No.
He was right behind her. But I was thinking about that little vignette because something that what this episode does incredibly well is they actually let the main characters observe the world that they're in, right? And her standing back and looking at that guy who's like acting all crazy ahead of the 14th or 15th, if you're in Australia, right?
Right.
It's like it's just like she's just like the viewer now, observing this world and just realizing there's a lot of crazy out there, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how Kevin comes down the escalator and he just got that look on his face, like he's not happy, right?
Well, no, I mean and I guess the theme is, and they hit it over the head here, specifically in the airport and in the airplane, which is like, and they do it in the episode. We're on separate journeys here. We're just on completely separate journeys, and mentally as well as physically.
Right.
Yeah. And then Kevin goes, "What are you smuggling?" Because he knows,
He knows.
And she goes, "Well," and then she goes, "Well, I have $20,000 in cash, and you can only bring $10,000 in cash with you." He goes, "Why don't you just give me $10,000?"
And she gives the greatest one-line reading ever. She goes, "Huh."
Yeah.
Like, not only did I not think about that, but
I think she thought about it. She didn't want Kevin to know she didn't want Kevin to know she had the cash.
Yeah, she didn't want him in the thing, and the way that just really kind of like was not a good cover for her.
I mean, she came clean, but it was after Kevin called her out.
Plus, it's an interesting technique that they're using to show that this person who's a fraud investigator, right, is not there mentally, right? Somebody who pays attention to every detail is like missing things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then they go in the bathroom. He takes the tape off, and of course, they have sex.
Because they were going to talk about something real for a minute.
Yeah, then they got to have sex. But I thought it'd been funny if someone would have came out of the stall and said, "Oh, can I just get by and wash my hands?" Because they didn't look first. Am I right?
It was a family stall. It was one of them family stalls.
Yeah, but still.
But then, how about at the end of that scene, the close up on the little sign for the baby changing station, right?
What did it say?
Well, it's just like that. The camera, the last thing that the camera focused in on was that label for baby changing station. That it's kind of like, Caleb, does that count as show but not tell?
I think it's trying to tell us that, hey, isn't this ironic with all the baby problems we're having?
Exactly. I mean, because he's basically, for lack of, pardon my French, he's railing her out on the baby changing table, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So.
I think so. Well, I thought it was a sink. I'm not sure if the baby changing table would have been supported.
I have to go back and rewatch that scene.
I could be wrong.
But it's amazing how in fact their act of love has become such a distraction. When the first time you saw it was in season 1, it was such a release of all these emotions they had been feeling for years and years and years, and what it's turned into is a little sad.
And would you guys go as far as to say that like the way that Nora initiated sex is basically to avoid talking about the Lily situation, right?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
They're on the plane. Nora tells Kevin she's telling about the machine and everything's gonna happen. She's coming clean.
Mm-hmm.
She's telling him all this stuff, and Nora says, "Well, it's a sting operation."
Yeah, she's coming clean with what she's doing. She's not like coming clean like, "Hey, man, I kind of want to do this thing."
Yeah.
Well, he goes, "Do you have jurisdiction in Australia?" And she goes,
It is weird how like she's it's almost like she's lying just to get to the next step.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like she's only thinking like one step ahead instead of like 10 steps ahead.
She's not, like you said, I think you said it, Eckhart, she's not being Nora. Nora's always 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
She's not in this one because I think she's so focused on, I want to see my kids. That's all that matters right now is her seeing her kids. She's
finally let her guard down, I guess you could say, enough to have those aren't my kids, just saying. Not to throw anybody under the bus.
Nora's kids came back.
Those are my kids. I'll mute it.
It's fine. Kids are kids. What are you gonna do? Anyway, someone was saying something.
I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But I like when Kevin goes, well, what are you going to tell them? They're no children. What are you going to tell them about me coming along? He says, well, I'll just tell them the truth about being in a toxic codependent relationship. She was literally telling the truth.
Now that's some tell not show kind of BS right there.
Yeah. And because Kevin goes, okay.
He doesn't even say anything. He's just like, he just looks at her and was like, okay.
They're showing it and telling it at that point.
Caleb, I hope you appreciate that I was thinking about you when she uttered those words.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was thinking about what your reaction would be like. I was like, yeah, you're trying to be funny, but you're being real honest right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the most honest she's probably ever been to Kevin.
Yeah.
This season.
This season, except for the whole, I had Hooker shoot me in the chest.
Or like, F your daughter, let's get out of here to Miami or whatever.
That's true too, yeah. Kevin brought the book, and Nora says, and she goes, well, I've already read it. I read it on the plane. Now it is like was it like an 18-hour flight to Australia? Big book. They were awful spry for being on a plane for 18 hours and just getting to that hotel room. And I'm just saying, I'd be a little worn out.
They're both running under some kind of... They're both running
adrenaline
on something more than what they're normally capable of, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think normally they're all just kind of barely making it, but now it's kind of like they've went the other way and they both have their directions they're going in.
Well, Nora reads something out of the book, and it's the part where he shoves baby Patty down, not baby Patty, but young Patty down the. So I guess Kevin was, if he could cure cancer, he would kill baby Patty, right? Am I right? Eckhart, you're still on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking about if in that situation he would look away or not.
Yeah, but Kevin goes. She goes, oh, so I guess she goes, you read the book. He goes, and then he tells the next thing, but because he knows that happened. Nora gets a call. She's going to go out.
Can I just mention one thing? No. I just feel like there's a lot of there's a lot of mocking to Kevin about something that might be very important to him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
He's remembering it very seriously. We're seeing the flashbacks of the things that he has perceived has happened to him in a very real way, and she's being very dismissive of it.
But has Kevin told her about this?
I was about to say that. Like,
no, so
exactly. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, so the gay guy's gonna make the defense for Nora. It's okay. I totally am fine with it. So I would I would say that he's not told her. So to her, these seem like outlandish claims that didn't really happen, and she doesn't really know why Matt's got this in his head. And Kevin's not been like, hey, I really went through this, or whatever he believes he went through, or whatever. He's not really went there with her. And the whole episode kind of keeps on. Lori is the voice of that. Did you tell Nora? Have you told Nora? Have you told Nora? So they really hammered that in, that Kevin's not doing this, so therefore Nora is seeing this in this perspective.
She thinks it's Matt's out there.
Right. Yeah.
Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know Kevin was in another world, and all that stuff.
But Kevin also has a good reason for not telling her.
Oh yeah, we find out. We will find out that later on. But I'm just saying from Nora's stand. I agree with Caleb from Nora's standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
She just.
I agree with Caleb all the time.
No, thank you.
And then
20,000 points.
She tells Kevin, "Are you going to follow me?" He goes, "Yes, of course." And she goes, "Don't follow me. I'm okay." Now I still think, even though she, say my wife is, I still would have followed her.
She really asked him not to follow her, and then something was about to break in Kevin, whether he was in a hotel room or on the street anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I guess that's true, but I'm just saying I would have followed her anyway. That's you say you're in a sting operation, you have no backup.
Right.
It's really bad timing because, Kevin and his, mental issues are, I guess, kind of being triggered because of the date. And so is Nora's thing. And she's latched onto this phone call and, went down this rabbit hole here. And so I just find it interesting that they're both at opposite ends, and then neither one of them are communicating that to each other. So
Right.
the only end to this is the end of the episode.
Right.
It was always going to end that way.
Yeah. Even though we didn't want it to.
Yeah.
It just wasn't meant to be. Kevin tries to turn off the TV, but Good Day Melbourne comes on, and I like the fact that he's looking behind the TV. My first thought was, he looking for his dad? What? Because they talked about it. She goes, "What are you gonna look for your dad?" Because she assumed, well, that's why I came over here. He goes, "No, I came over here to be with you."
He's just trying to get like that special wire to plug in.
But he calls for him. I can't turn off the TV. Oh, we'll have to reset it from down here. Has anyone ever stayed in a hotel where you had to turn the TV off from something like that?
Mm-mm.
I've never been to Australia, so I don't know.
No, it's been a while. I mean, basically, when I go into a hotel these days, I basically just make sure I unplug everything from their TV and plug in all my stuff.
He's got to watch his Who music videos.
Keep playing that game, Eckhart. Keep playing that game. Keep it on.
I just wish I'd been able to say that in Finnish, which is, I think, the language that odd female doctor keeps speaking in later on in the episode.
You guys check out my new shirt.
Oh my God, your shirt!
That is nice. That is nice.
Okay, so I've got a question. So obviously, it's clear that Kevin is about to snap, right?
Yes.
And are we gonna say that the reason he's snapping is an accumulation of psychological issues that have been building from the end of season 2 up until this moment? Is that how we're...
Maybe it is the book too.
I mean, the interesting thing is, okay, so what we've talked about is that he hasn't been able to communicate any of this stuff to Nora, right?
Right.
And even after she caught him trying to suffocate himself for fun, he still didn't feel like he was able to communicate this root cause of what's going on there. So are we just going to say it's an accumulation of stuff, or something new that happened?
I think it's just who he is.
And I think it's always been there by, even with Lori saying to him in the first episode, he goes, "But I'm fine now." And she goes, "Yeah, you're doing great." She knows something's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And he just rolled out of his town right before the departure.
Do you think it is because he should have been dead like 4 or 5 times that we know of, and yet he's still alive, and people are writing books about him, and a book about him, and it's just not who he is.
I would have figured that would have been more prominent, and he would have mentioned that as bothering him beyond just shouting at those guys, like that. He would have told Nora how much that bothers him. But it feels like there's something deeper beyond there. And the reason I mention this is because, the first watch of Leftovers, you're just trying to figure out how all this stuff ends. But now we're trying to understand how these characters are written, right?
Right.
And we're all in agreement that we assumed that he was going to snap. But I'm still trying to understand, what we're looking at for the justification of it, beyond the obvious that, he hasn't been able to be completely honest with Nora, and that Jack said that, he's dealt with several deaths now, and he's unsure what this means from. But is there something else there?
Well, I think we'll get to it later on. But when he reads the book, he's having flashbacks of certain stuff. That's why I'm saying maybe the book had something. It's something he can't ever shake. It's like when we talk about Nora, kind of making fun of some of the stuff in the book, but it actually happened to Kevin. Right. So he can't shake that. I mean, how do you live with that?
Here's a question. We saw how he reacted when he heard her read that passage, and he had literally that flashback.
Right.
He also said that he read the whole thing on the plane. Do we actually think he read the thing on the plane, given what we saw? How he reacted.
It's a big book. I don't know there's not a lot of room on the plane. Where's he gonna?
I think he's read it more than he wants to admit to, whether if it's in bits and pieces or the whole thing. I think he's read
read bits and pieces, but I don't think he's read it cover to cover. I think he starts reading it, and I mean, how could you if this is stuff you probably don't want to remember?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Caleb, can we, as both are religious and psychological experts here, would you say that this biblical text is causing some sort of remembrance of a traumatic experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a trigger. I think that just like Nora is beginning to suspect that this could be something she might consider, I think Kevin is beginning to suspect that there's a little bit more going on with him. And so we see him kind of lean into they're both leaning in, but it's opposite ways. And so that's just kind of what I think about it.
I like that.
But then there's something interesting on Good Day at Melbourne is
pancakes.
Well, it's pancakes, which who doesn't love pancakes? Pancakes. But there's two missing Kevins. The one Kevin, and then I started thinking. I go, oh, the chief of police we know was basically murdered, right? Kevin Sr. is a former chief of police. Kevin Jr. is a chief of police. So we got three. So Kevins are chief of police in those worlds. So I found that interesting. But right when they said it, Kevin turned around and looked, and he sees a picture of his dad, obviously because he's missing. Then he sees Evie. Now, do you think that was just a coincidence that suddenly he stops reading the book because he hears missing Kevin? He hears his name. Would she say, better hope your name is not Kevin, or if you're not, it was something to that effect, and he turned around and looked. Then he thinks he sees Evie. Now, why Evie? You're on mute, Ethan.
He's having a break here, right? He's having a full-on break, right? So whatever it may be that he sees, spoiler, we know it's not Evie. It's just a question of what it was going to be and when it was going to be it. Evie's been on his mind simply because, first of all, it's still hard to wrap your head around the exact action she took, I personally think. And it would just be, I think it would be a good choice. Do you
think it's because he goes the party line or the company line with the lie about how?
Yes, maybe. Give yourself some points for that one, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll give myself a point for that because we see that scene with him and Tommy, and he's got to carry. John's his friend, and
he knows that's not what happened. He's carrying some guilt for that.
Yeah.
Well, he's starting just like, Matt, that's in the book. John believes that Evie's still alive. So Kevin's further leaning into, well, maybe she is.
Yeah. Maybe hoping or anyway. But he's when he sees Evie, the TV turns off. So he has to call the front desk. Turn it. It'll be a few minutes. He goes, did they record it live? Where's it at? So he runs down the stairs.
He goes to the Melbourne Rockefeller Center.
Yeah. And he passes Nora to get the cab.
But just to say, on the TV, they do call him Mr. Durst. And that might be come into play later when we see Kevin Sr., who's been trying to find him.
Wait, at what point who calls him Mr. Durst?
The person he asked to fix the TV at the hotel.
Right, and then he he changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Let's see. So then Nora's waiting for the bus, and she asks the guy, said, "Oh, she'll be here in a few minutes." A lady comes up to her. She has a job interview, and she asks, "Are you a mom?" And she goes, "Well, I used to be, right? But I don't know. Are you going to go up to any? I mean, I know the woman needs the job, but I'm not going to leave my child with just anybody, right?"
Yeah. No,
I mean, it was just very suspicious.
yeah.
Especially an American.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's too suspicious. I don't buy that's not part of what she has to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does give us the opportunity to see how much she wants this when she runs to chase down the bus and hit on the doors.
Yeah. Well, she runs and finds the lady. Oh, the bus arrives. She goes, "Can you wait?" I've never seen a bus wait. Ever. They're on a schedule. That door closes. Boom, they're gone. It's like the trains in France. I mean, if you're not on there, it's shut. It's slamming the door. You're getting hit in the face. I mean, they're on. I mean, that's what's so good about the train system there, though. It's always on time. But anyway, so that's right. She finds the lady. Here she goes. She goes. It's what'd she say? It's discrimination. They cannot hire because you don't have a baby. And like you said, Eckhart, she runs and slams on the window, and the bus driver. And do you see her look to the bus driver?
Mm-hmm.
Is it brutal?
No, our bus is free in Australia.
I don't think so.
I didn't see her pay.
Well,
that is interesting that she's kind of busting down a door in a way.
Yeah. Oh.
Does that come back? Some imagery, maybe?
It does.
Just a little bit of imagery there?
A little bit.
But I just, I don't know. It is what it is. But why was she pissed at the bus driver?
Well, I mean, I don't know. She shouldn't be pissed at the bus driver. The bus driver's job is to leave at the appointed time.
Right.
But I mean, it's just showing that we've got anxiety Nora now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Full on anxiety.
Already. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's the kind of, when you guys get me my leftovers Barbie, I want the anxiety Nora one, please. Thank you.
I'll order that today on Amazon. Kevin arrives at the studio. He's just pushing people out of the way. And he doesn't see her. But then he sees someone walking across the street that he thinks is Evie. So he follows her, and he's like yelling at her, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" She turns around. She goes, "Oh, you know." And so this big guy, because Kevin, as big as buff as Kevin is, he's not a good fighter, is he?
Right. But before this guy gets involved, he says something to the extent of, "Did Patty send you?"
Yeah.
Right. So that, and this is, I guess, what might shed some light in terms of why he saw her, right? In the sense that he's still so haunted by that whole experience.
Right.
And he probably thinks, like, is Patty going to come back some point in time and torment me? Like,
right.
Did I really end all that? Or is she going to come back, right?
Yeah.
So that, like, in his mind, like, seeing Evie is like Patty sending almost like a demon after him, right? Right.
Well, because he goes, what do you want? What do you want?
Right.
And that's why I think he said, Patty. And then the guy says, "Hey, is she bothering you? Is he bothering you?" He goes, "Oh wait, you can see her."
I know, that was amazing.
Because Kevin's like, and then he's going back and forth.
And what's so amazing is he immediately goes from one form of delusion to another, right?
Right.
But
now, go ahead.
Are you guys totally, when you're first watching this, are you 100% on board? Like with what he's seeing?
I think I was giving him the benefit of the doubt the first time.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just like going.
Because this is literally just like the wild ride that you're on, right? You're just watching.
Right.
Going nuts. What's going to happen?
This time around, I knew it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But the first time, I'm like going. But when the guy, and he says, Kevin says "F you" or something to him, and the guy headbutts him.
Officer Mustard Stain.
Yeah.
He's always big with the words, not good on follow-up, man.
Yeah.
He's just not a good fighter. He's just not. I expect more from him.
He's good at, like Ethan said, he's good at taking the pain.
Yeah. He's the Ben Linus of the show, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Nora gets off the bus. Dude tells her to go up there. They're waiting for you.
And I do like the fact that we don't really see this guy ever again, right, Ethan?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
There's just some random guy that says, go over there. It's the doorman, right?
He might be the money guy if they ever decide to take the money, but you never know.
Right.
You think it's because maybe Nora's problem too is she's not in control. She always seems, like we said, 2 or 3 steps ahead. She's at the mercy of these people she doesn't even know.
Mm.
You know,
That's another good point.
She's not 100%. All right, are these guys even telling the truth? You know, like I said, she thinks she could be fried in this machine.
But I think with Nora, it's like the moment that her 2 kids become involved in some way or another, it breaks her, because we saw that at the end of season 1 when she came downstairs and saw the dolls, right?
Right.
That's what broke her, and she was gonna basically leave town and maybe leave everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that the fact that there's a slim probability of her being reunited with her kids here, right?
Right.
That's what's really breaking her, right?
It's all she cares about right now,
Mm-hmm.
which I understand. And then we go in and there's 2 women there playing piano. Take on me.
First time.
Yep.
Man.
Take me home. Then they say we got to go downstairs. Then she says Bernard is going to, and the woman that was doing most of the talking, she was Man in Black's daughter in Westworld.
She's also in Evil with Michael
Is she?
Emerson.
Is she?
Mhm. She's like the main lead.
Nice.
I might have to watch that. Just as that is Michael Emerson. Bernard is it Bernard?
Mm-hmm.
Is going to do an exam.
Yeah.
Nora's like, why? He's very professional. But she's like, oh.
Very professional.
And then we go to John and Lori are still helping people.
I love that transition.
Yeah.
I love that transition so much, where Lori's saying she was ready to go, but she couldn't tell you. And it's like, that's exactly what the viewer thinks Nora's thinking right now. She's ready to go, but she can't tell Kevin. And then you're like, it's like a real thing. And then you transfer it to them, you know, doing like it's a fake, you know, they're doing a con or whatever with the people. So you also have that juxtaposition there too, which is interesting.
And Kev, what's great about this episode, beyond the plot and the development of these main characters, is that it does feel like they're using like some tricks, like in storytelling, like letting Nora see like a crazy person in the airport. Now, what you said with the voiceover, there's something similar with Kevin later in the episode. So yeah. And we learn now in this next scene that they don't go close to anything that deals with departure.
Right. Because he says he wants to know about his sister. I got money. Oh, no. Your money's no good here. But he wants to know. And John, she's trying to look it up. And he goes, oh, did your sister depart? Yeah. Well, I can't communicate with them.
It's a different place.
Abort.
Yeah.
It's almost like, again, I think you said, Caleb, it's like they're in a different, you know, like Nora, where do they go? We don't know.
And it's
a different place.
And it's kind of like it underscores this notion of like, Jack, okay, I'm going to use your specialty here in terms of crackpot theories, right? In terms of it's not wrong until it's been disproven, right?
Right.
And there's a bit of that in terms of departure, where probably what Lori learned through her, you know, prolific study is that when you can't debate the departure, right?
Right.
Because no one can ever be right or wrong, right?
Right.
So it's just like a place that's filled with landmines, which is why she's like, no, don't even go close to there.
Right. It's true, and it's almost like the show said they were never going to explain it, right off the bat. They said so. They talk about it, but they also say we don't know. So I do like that. But then Kevin calls Lori. He tells her he just saw Evie, and she's like, oh no, not again, right? So he sends her a picture, and then this is when I realized the first time it wasn't Evie because we don't see it. If it was Evie, we would have saw it right away.
Right. Yeah. Don't show, don't tell.
Right. So I said, okay, because you can tell. Why wouldn't they show it? If it was Lori, I mean, if it was Evie would have gone, oh my God, John, look. But
right.
She doesn't do that.
It's a good point. Like the fact that yeah.
No, it was an amazing point, but the first time I'm watching it, I'm all aboard that it's Evie, just so everyone knows. I just want to say fully.
You probably sent an email about it too, didn't you?
No, you'll hear what I sent the email about. I sent it to you and timestamped it. Anyway, this is going to happen a lot like this week, next week, and definitely a lot the week after. Just Amy Brenneman. Like, you can watch this scene one way the first time and a completely other way on the rewatch, and it works beautifully. She's just amazing.
Yeah, and you can see different layers in each one of her portions. Right?
You're not saying that because she's live in the chat right now.
No, I'd be saying that anyway.
Yeah.
He would say it anyway, Amy. All right, there you go. But then he says, "Well, go on your." He wants to know. Go on your face. Do what you do. Go on Facebook or whatever, and find out who she is, right? Because she said her name was. What was her name? Daji.
I think it's Dunya, but I don't want to mispronounce it.
I'm mispronouncing it. So he goes, "Go on there," and she tells Kevin, "Okay, she works at the public library," which was a mistake on Lori's.
Should not have done that. Yeah.
Yeah. She says, "Oh, she works at the public library." Oh, why did I tell him that? Oh, geez, he's gonna go. She goes, "But don't approach her, Kevin. Don't approach her. Let's." And she's that's another thing. It's telling you right there it's not Evie, because if it was Evie, why wouldn't you approach her? But she tells, "Don't approach her," and Kevin goes, "Yeah, click. I'm going to approach her."
And I like how is this where Kevin tells her he's in Australia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Australia.
And I like right away that Lori is, as the kids say, totally hip to the fact that there's issues with Kevin and Nora in a big way.
Right.
This is happening. Yeah.
Yes, she knows. Then we go back to Nora. She's going through her test. And one of them is she has to get in a box that kind of looks like a coffin. Right? And they put a heart monitor onto her. Now she's laying in biodegradable peanuts, Pelspan. Those will dissolve in water. So those are safe for the environment. Just let people know. I know that because I used to use it in the pack at my store. So those are biodegradable. But she's, I don't know. I would probably be freaking out. He goes, "If you want to take your money with you, it's okay. I would have probably taken the money with me. I don't know if I would have gotten the box. But at this point, she just wants, like we said, she just wants a chance to see her kids and be reunited with her kids. She doesn't care about anything else.
And she thinks that it's just the simple test things that they're looking for. Can she sit in a box? Can she answer the questions in a certain way? She thinks she's got that all down. She can probably pass a lie detector test.
Right.
How long would she have to sit in the machine? I mean, what's the point of going in the box? I mean, she's going to be sitting in the machine for 2 hours. Why?
I don't want to answer that question now.
Okay, all right. Let's see.
But this is where we get the second rendition of "Take on Me." This time, the horn version, which I fully enjoyed.
Genghis Barbie in that beautiful shot from the library, right? Genghis Barbie is the name of the brass quintet that does all that.
Nice.
Kevin goes to the library, and he asks if he said whatever he said. I can't remember the name he said, but he was wrong. And the librarian's like this, and the librarian rings the bell, and security comes. It just ding,
One, he got a book called Assassins.
Exactly, I was about to say. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
Assassins.
Assassins, but also like this is like the hardware scene in The Most Powerful Adversary.
Oh yeah.
He needs something, and it's all good, except he's got to let that expletive deleted slip out of his face. And then they're like, oh, we're going to call the library cops. That's it. You know what I mean?
The best part is he was shocked that they'd call security if somebody curses, right? Because he's not used to decorum, right?
Right.
And he goes, I did it because you're being weird. And then because the guy's like, come on, mate, just go. Don't give me any problems. You know, Kevin's already bleeding, right? He's already got the headbutt. Then we see Evie say, it's okay, I know him. Are you sure? Yes, I do. And then she tells him, you know, they're going back and forth. He goes, okay, I am Evie Murphy, but she's talking with an accent.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't make sense. She goes, but don't tell anyone that you've seen me because I'm starting a whole new life. He goes, look, John is my best friend, your dad. I can't not tell him. And she goes, well, why are you still using the accent? And that's where Evie kind of goes, like this.
But I'd say like the line that she utters that probably like gets under his skin the most, or like, I don't know if trigger is the right word, is when she says there is no family, right?
Right.
And that it's again, it's that line from International Assassin, right? In the dialogue conversation that he has with Patty, where they're discussing like the platform, and you know, there's a whole back and forth about there is no family, and of course, the whole guilty remnant thing with there is no family, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So
she's got all the right answers, you know. So it's not dumb for me the way they're saying it, the way they're painting this picture. The viewer at home thinking that this could be Evie. She could have done it again.
But why would she talk in the accent?
Because she's moved away and changed her voice on purpose.
She's Madonna.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it's the other thing too is, I mean, we're about to see that what he's seeing is not the same as reality in terms of the picture, right? Yeah. So why can't we also assume that what he's hearing is not what is being said too?
Right.
But she says to him, I have compassion for you because you are ill. He goes, wait, what?
That's when you know Laurie's involved.
I give her credit though for going in this room.
Yeah.
And she's being told this guy is having a psychotic break, right? Yeah. That's what she was told. And to go in there alone.
Yeah.
She doesn't know him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I give her credit for doing that. Then we see John and Laurie are having dinner, and Laurie's going to pay for it. And then John goes, well, don't be expecting anything just because you're paying for it.
It's all that money I'm not shredding that you can't see.
Yeah. I did say that cake looked pretty good. I don't know if anyone else thought the same thing, but I said that cake looks pretty damn good.
I was paying attention to the plot, Jack. Sorry.
I pay attention to cake. And then we find out that Laurie told Evie about Kevin. So then we're like going, okay, now it's starting to make sense. Laurie tells Kevin to look at your phone, Kevin. Look at your phone. Look at the photo on your phone. And then Laurie tells him it's not Evie. And it's not. And you can see, and again, you see the photo he took. She's terrified. In the photo, that was in the street. She agrees to go in this room with this guy. I would hope anyone I know would not do that alone.
But here's the interesting thing. I mean, the next line, I forgot what the line that the actress utters. It's something like, we're done here now.
Yeah.
Like the actual person, that person sounds different tonally and is more assertive, right?
Yeah, she says, I'm leaving now.
Yeah. So it's very different from the like afraid, almost submissive Evie that he thinks he's talking to.
Right.
But it is full on Leftovers. It's full music. It's full Kevin realizing something. He even says the line that John says, which is something Kevin says earlier, he says, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Or I don't understand.
I don't understand.
It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's the next line because he says, I don't
Mhm.
understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And you're also, as the audience, you're like, oh man, we were really hoping Kevin was not there anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's really sad.
And
It is sad.
in this scene, Ethan, is the background music that they use is one of the Richter scores, right?
Yeah.
And it's the title of that score isn't it something like the empathy for others or something like that, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So I thought there was a really good.
Is it by the Who?
Anyways, the point is that, and I think you were referring to this earlier, Ethan, is that what we see, not just in terms of Amy Brenneman in terms of performance, but we're really seeing like a side of Laurie that really is empathetic, right? She's really trying to help Kevin, right? Now she has her own limitations in terms of both, Kevin and also her own like priors.
Right. Yeah.
Well, she's almost changed her life, right? Because she's helping people. People come in looking for answers about their family.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to make them feel better. Like she said, John, give her a hug, all that different
Mm-hmm.
stuff. She's trying to change because she knows she did wrong.
Yeah.
She's trying to atone for her mistakes. Now,
Yeah.
whether you have to give her credit for someone that, we all make mistakes in life, and she's trying to atone for it. So I got to give her credit for that.
Yeah. I mean, she's doing more than just A for effort.
Right.
But she's also, this is kind of maybe a way she's trying to like make it up to Jill too, is by keeping an eye on Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And doing everything she can, for him even though she knows he's got something way wrong,
Yeah, because she says to him, you left without telling any. You're the chief of police, and the biggest anniversary's coming up. Why would you just leave?
Right.
And she asks, and she says, I think you want to escape, Kevin. He goes, I don't want to escape. And it comes back up to, we've seen this before. This has happened over and over again with Kevin. And then Laurie asks Kevin, I can't read my writing, so forget that. And she asks John, then she goes, and he's going back and forth. So he pulls a dig in there. He goes, she goes, oh, John. He goes, well, ask him about the fucking book he wrote about me.
Right.
And
I don't like what you did to me so much. I'm going to throw you under the bus real quick.
Right. And so he just turns around, and so she turns around, looks at John, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And John's like, he knows.
Yeah, right.
We've all seen that look.
Yeah, we have no idea what's going on there yet.
And by the way, I mean, who else here expected him to do an F.U. Laurie right there?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the shocker that he didn't say it, right?
But it would have been wrong for him at that point.
Of course, but you could look. We're not dealing with lovable Justin Thrower. We're dealing with Mel Gibson here. I mean, he's totally Mel Gibson here. Right?
But like Ethan said, we want to like Kevin, and for him to say "F you, Laurie" at that point, we would have said, okay. Earlier, when you said it the first time, you had every right to say it, but she's literally going out of her way to help you. You're wrong, Kevin. You're wrong, as
Kayla would say.
Say you're wrong. Say you're wrong, Kevin, in Patty's voice.
What?
Say you're wrong, Kevin, in Patty's voice.
Oh, I don't know how to do. I don't know. You're wrong, Kevin. I can only try to do the Kevin.
Well, the Kevin part's great. So anyway, I'm glad they didn't have an F.U. Laurie there, because again, I want to like Kevin. And Kevin, of course, he's a likable guy. He just has, let's face it, they all have issues.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then we come back to Nora. She's asleep because those peanuts they're pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
You could sleep on those. And we find out that Mark Lynn Baker went through. He's gone. He went to the other side. And then let's see, it's Dr. Becker. What was her name? The snotty,
Becker, I believe.
Becker.
Yeah, I think it's Dr. Becker.
Bunsen Honeydew is who it is. It's
that's the actor thing.
It was a Muppets reference.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's definitely Dr. Becker.
Dr. Becker. Okay.
Right.
Oh, I know what he's saying now. Yeah, you lose 100 points there. Yeah, Ethan, I'm sorry. But so she goes, well, why wouldn't you go? Because I don't like the odds. And she's just like, I get it. Where am I going to? Am I going to where there's 140 million corpses flying around? And so, of course, Nora doesn't want to hear that because she believes her kids she's still holding out that are alive, right? So she doesn't. Yep. So then they go, okay, then we get the two baby thing, the two twins. And you don't have to actually physically kill one of them. Just nod. Would you nod and let one of them die to cure cancer?
I was thinking about that because we all asked last week if we would do it, I guess we assumed we'd have to kill the baby. But now that it's just a nod, maybe we should do a repoll.
Well, okay, it's just a nod. No, and I do like how Nora said, "Okay, is it a quick death? Is it, is it going to suffer?" And she gives kind of a cold answer, right? She says,
"Babies die every day.
Babies die every day. So
what's one more?
What's one more? And boom, you cure cancer." And that was the wrong answer. So obviously, the guy we see last week that burned himself, he must have been doing the same thing Nora was doing and gave the wrong answer.
I thought no, but I thought that he actually said no because he asks Kevin Sr. and Kevin Sr. says no, wouldn't kill the child. So that they basically they alternate.
So there's no. Was it her tone? Was it the fact that she was so callous, I guess is the word? Where she
I don't know, Ethan. Maybe we should kill a twin so that you unmute yourself.
It's a Rorschach test, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a Rorschach test. It's how you answer. It's not what you answer.
Right.
I mean, if a guy says no and he goes into the middle of a field and sets himself on fire, obviously he wasn't the right one to go. And if someone says yes, and then they go out screaming like a mad woman into them in the street with a bag of money, the answer is no for her too.
So you're saying that the decision wasn't made
on base of the yes or no question. It's how you answer the question.
It's how you, or is it how you react to the rejection?
That could be part of it too.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I like that. I thought that's what you were saying, Ethan, because you were like saying if they say no and you scream them like throwing money at them, then you've definitely failed, right?
I wonder what would have happened if she was like, I'm not answering that question. I came here to find out about my kids. So we're going to continue this or not? If the doctors would have been like, okay, here's more information.
Maybe that's the answer they're looking for. That's a good point too.
So
that was based off the comment that says the right answer is to not care about trivial worldly things. And I was thinking, well, yeah, her focus should be on that. So they should be helping her that, not asking her random questions.
Right.
And if also she wouldn't care about curing cancer in the baby of this world if she's going to another one.
Help me fix something physically like a leak in the roof instead of trying to stop a flood. Right?
Thank you.
Wow.
No.
This got deep.
I listen.
Well, that's good.
Chickbert's got some good insight there.
Yeah.
It's about being ready to let go of this world. So
I agree.
That's Bruce. Hey, Bruce.
Good job, Bruce.
So what is it in her demeanor that showed that she wasn't ready to let go of this world then?
She's not playing it cool at all from the second they say no. From the second she starts doing these out loud calculations. You know what? She's just, nothing is saying about her. I'm ready to go.
Because it's interesting because she's like, they're making comments about how how like calm she is in the sarcophagus, right? Which is where most people freak out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I'm saying about the lie detector test. Stuff like that she can handle in a second.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think about a lot of this stuff. Good job, guys.
So we're going to assume that the way that they set these things up is that they probably reject everyone. And that's when the test really begins, right?
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
You don't think they had anything to do with the baby at the beginning
Yeah, I think they did.
with the
And that's
interview?
that's what she said. Didn't she say that?
Nora suspected that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the Man in Black's daughter said no. So,
Well, yeah, but what she got?
but okay, so it's interesting, right? Stage one is to see like if you care more about the actual interview than the baby, right?
Right.
So then you show up, right? Stage two is you've passed the physical test. Stage three is they see how you handle the rejection. And then depending on that, they actually then reach out to you to go to the machine.
I don't understand why you have to have the test though. If you're willing to go in that machine not knowing anything.
It's a good question. Well, I'll think about that more as we get to the end of the season.
I know it makes the episode more interesting.
Yeah. Plus, who else here was like this time around looking at all the stuff that was in the warehouse?
Yes.
It was just like I was looking at all that and be like, oh, I missed all this stuff the first time around. I wonder if there's any interesting Easter eggs in there besides a lot of dry cleaning.
A lot of dry cleaning, a lot of stuff. So
That's where they keep all the shirts with the mustard stains.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin would have had a field day in there.
Oh,
All those bags.
all those bags over his head.
Actually, I think I made that same joke the first time around. I could be wrong, but it sounds like something I would have said. Oh, I'm going to hell. Now, let me see. So then Nora's putting tinfoil over the smoke detector in the hotel.
Yeah. And calling George Brevity.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a person more together of their faculties.
By the way, we totally kind of glossed over the fact that in between season 2 and season 3, she ends up working for George Brevity, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that like she stole that report never came into play.
Well, she never stole it in official capacity or used it.
Isn't George always drunk? He was always drunk on Mad Men. He was always eating roast beef sandwiches and bad things for him. And
George Brevity seemed like a guy you could really, if you were Nora Durst, you could really work your way around to do whatever you wanted if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, he was. She played him like a Stradivarius.
Last time we saw him, he was with another guy eating sandwiches at his desk, so he may have just went to the bathroom because he got a mustard stain.
That's true. That could be it. He's okay.
I had to join in on the mustard stain joke. But it hadn't happened yet. I was trying to find the right moment.
I haven't
trying to find the right moment there.
I don't think I've had the mustard. I got to come up with one before the end of the episode. But anyway, Kevin comes in and Nora tells they're going back and forth talking about it, and he goes, "What happened?" Oh, well, they must have caught on what I was doing. That I was a sting operation. And then Kevin's like, "What happened to you?" She goes, "What happened to you?" He goes, "I can't tell you." She goes, "Kevin, you can tell me anything." "No, I can't. The last time I told you something, you locked me, you handcuffed me, and you left."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh, Kevin."
Yeah, and I think I should have thought about this because when I was asking about like the accumulation of stuff, it was probably him coming close to this line in the sand that he's just crossed.
Right.
And the fear that she would leave him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that he's on thin ice.
Because he's right.
Mm-hmm.
He did open up to her, and she left him.
Right.
And so
everything he said that happened definitely happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so Kevin goes, screw the book. And he burns the book in the hotel room. He's just burning it.
And all my dreams and hopes burnt with it.
So then he goes, "Oh, we never talk." And this was a fantastic scene, I thought. It was just very well acted. It was believable. I believe they were a couple having a fight about something. And Nora says, "Why didn't you stop me from giving Lily away? You never asked me. You never asked my opinion. Never." And so Kevin's like, "You could have given your opinion. It's one of those things you can't win." But she goes, "Just tell the truth. You didn't want Lily anyway." And do we think Kevin maybe was okay with Lily not being in the picture, even though he wanted a kid?
Yeah.
Then it's getting ugly. and Kevin's getting dirty, and I almost want to say they probably were in the writers' room. They were probably saying, "Hey, can we get a fuck you, Nora?" and they probably said no because people love Nora, and we don't want people to hate Cat. Going back to where people saying, "Why didn't he say?" Earlier we said, "Why didn't he say fuck you, Lori?" No, because we want to like Kevin, and if he would have said "fuck you, Nora" in that situation, especially when he's talking about you're not a mom, you get all this different stuff, because he was dirty. He goes, "You want to just play the victim? I'm the victim." I thought he was wrong at this point. I thought he had crossed the line.
Yeah.
But I was like going, "Oh, this is your fuck you, Nora."
Yeah, this is worse than fuck you, Nora.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All this stuff. You're afraid you're gonna give that one. Okay. You were relieved to say it, and now you want a baby. What are you, fucking insane? Are you?
That's what Nora says.
Yeah. Are you afraid you want to give that one away too?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was way across the line.
Yeah.
Like what? Like that to me, that was the point in the show that I was like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what is this over now? Are they not going to be together? Like, how do you come back from that? Because it was just so.
I think you can.
Yeah, because up to this point in time, whatever issues they have, it's they're separate issues, and it's not like one of them is antagonizing the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now he basically does something that's really ad hominem, right?
Yeah,
like, it makes like there's no reason for him to attack her. It's just that he's lost it, right?
Right.
He's lost it. This is over the line. You can't have a kid because you have no excuse. You couldn't be a victim. You have to be okay. No one would feel sorry for you. She goes, "I don't want people to feel sorry for me." Then here it comes, How long, Nora? How long before you move past it? Move past what? You lost your kids. I did not lose them. My kids are not dead. They are gone. They're just gone. Then you should go be with them.
Right.
Yeah, that was the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what the worst thing he said was when he says about you haven't moved past it. How you would never move past that.
Yeah.
You would never, and he should be a little more understanding about that. I mean, I know he's not in the right frame of mind, but that was just a shitty thing to say.
Yeah, and the thing what makes it even worse is that, for most of season 1 is about him losing his family, right?
Right.
And he got them all back, right?
Mm-hmm.
In addition to this companionship with Nora, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And for him then just to say something like that it's just terrible.
It was a terrible thing to say. It was like said the day she dies.
And you can see also in the way that Nora responds, like she doesn't like escalate and fight back. You could see that she's kind of defeated by the whole thing.
Right.
It's a little sad once you think about it because Nora doesn't really have anybody anymore. She doesn't have Lily, and if she doesn't have Kevin, there's no connection to Lori or John or any of them really. I mean, for a brief moment, we got to see Erica in that one episode, but
Jill also.
Yeah, she would. It seems like she would lose all those people.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Kev, because like. Without the connection to Kevin and those people, she's back to where we saw her at the beginning of season 1.
Give yourself 25.
Which is completely allowed.
But they've been sitting on this for so long, right?
Yeah.
Matt doesn't count, Ro.
Matt doesn't.
Caleb and I don't acknowledge Matt.
To be honest with you, I completely forgot about Matt.
I know that's how good the show is.
Matt is the mustard stain of the Leftovers.
What are we like? What is
Meaning
Matt factored in?
Nora would still have Matt.
Matt would still have, Nora would still have family, and family's Matt.
Well, true, but like also he's part of the problem that I would feel like Nora would potentially blame him for the way Kevin is. Yeah. And he's adding on to these things. I mean, at the end of the day, he's her brother, and I get it. But like, still, she's always had a distance with him because of cuckoo.
Because Matt wasn't there. She needed someone during season 1. Matt wasn't there for her. Matt was off doing crappy things to people.
Right.
But it is interesting. Spoiler alert! That like that relationship with Matt gets resolved, right? That when she is completely all alone at the end, that's the last person she's with until the final episode, right?
Right.
Yes.
Then Kevin walks out the door. The smoke alarm's going off.
And by the way, I love that this is a direct link back to International Assassin, right?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Alarm's going off. He's not looking back, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's smoking the cigarettes. The thing starts to fall. He goes outside. What's next, Jack?
Well, you have he tries to get a cab. He goes, "Can't get a cab, mate."
Yeah.
The explosion. What explosion? And, in fact, at one point he looks back.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, he needs to go up there and save Nora.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's also wondering if like the fire caused it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If he calls the fire, yeah.
But at this point, he doesn't care.
Another thing that kind of seemed like the relationship was absolutely totally over here is what Ethan said, is that there was that extra emphasis of Kevin did not bother even looking back at her.
Mm-hmm.
He was like so meant everything he said and was so sure of it. And you don't even know if he like really meant it or if he meant it's part of his problem, but I thought that was another like.
No, I do. Because Kevin, like I said, he crossed the line, but I understand his frustration because Nora didn't open up to him. Nora wasn't, very. And like I said, the one time he did open up to Nora, it was a bad relationship. They should have never been together.
But one of his flaws as a character is that he doesn't know how to handle or isn't able to handle these situations.
No,
in terms of like he can't. He's. I don't know what the term would be, Caleb. This is your expertise again. But that he bottles stuff up until he blows up, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Is that passive aggressive? No. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the word?
Just bottling things up, not knowing how to express yourself.
Right.
Yeah, holding it all in.
This is in some ways this is reminiscent of when he flips out on Lori at the end of Garvey's at Their Best, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's talking about the thing, and she's like, at least be honest this time, something like that. And of course, Lori's a different character, but then he just goes off and is completely ruined at that point in time. And it's like we have to wonder, and of course, this is the way that the show was written, that if he had more courage to actually approach her about this stuff without being afraid of the consequence, right, then it probably wouldn't have gotten to this sort of outcome.
Plus, he's probably also angry too that now he's seeing dead people again.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not Nora's fault,
right?
But he did take it. He took it out on Nora.
And speaking of which, so it's the scene where he's in front of the hotel. We always have to think, from Kevin's perspective, like he hears them saying, like, "There are no cabs. There's explosion." Then he sees his dad roll in. He's like, he has to always wonder, like, is this real, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said all flights are. Because his dad pulls up.
Yeah.
I saw you on TV, son. How's it going? He goes, I just want to go home. All flights are canceled.
Right.
It's going on. But I saw you on TV and all this stuff. And say, hey, that's Grace. That's my friend Grace. His dad just is like happy to see his son, And he goes, so then we go to Nora smoking in the room, and the water starts, and then we get Take on Me.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was well done.
It's like one of the most perfect endings of the season and of the show. And when they come back with the song, it's just brilliant. And not just her with the water going out, but when they go back again to the very final shot, that up close of the water on her eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's why we're here. You know what I mean? And it's just a perfect, beautiful ending. And looking back on it, you're looking from what we know from the future, you're looking at the biggest mistake of Kevin's life right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In real time. And and when we go and we're going forward, we're going to see, and this is totally lifted from another show I listened to, but I'm going to say it's too perfect. It's like we've seen We've seen Kevin with his crazy father. We've seen crazy Kevin with his sane father. We've seen sane Kevin with his sane father, but we haven't seen crazy Kevin with his crazy father.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what we got to look forward to.
Yeah. But I would say this. I mean, that scene in terms of the altercation that they have, and what Nora sitting alone, just probably heartbroken, crying, right, mixing with the water. That is, I hate to say it like this, but that scene is so much more rewarding on rewatch, knowing like how much time passes between when they meet again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because probably on the first viewing, a lot of us like weren't able to appreciate it, given that we didn't know where the next 4 episodes would go. Right.
Right. No, I just was a great episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So far, anyone? Is it best episode of the season so far? Anyone willing to say that?
Good question. I mean, you're basically you're saying is episode 4 better than the other 3 prior?
Yes.
It was really good.
Yeah, it's probably best in terms of like the overall. For whatever reason, this time around, episode 3 has been my favorite so far. Either number 1 or number 3 have been my favorite. Just because they cover so much ground.
They do.
I think. Go ahead.
No, you.
I was going to say that in this episode they do such a great the writing and the visual, like we say at the end, it's so perfect, and the writing and the acting is just from start to finish. It's just like, and you're wondering, okay, what is going? Okay, we know they're not good for each other, right? But we, like I think you said, Caleb, I think it was you. We want them to stay together though, because we like them. We like both Nora and we like both Kevin. And when Kevin's crossing the line, it was like, okay, I want to punch Kevin in the face. I know Nora can be, rub you the wrong way. She can be her own worst enemy at times, but she's not deserving what he's saying to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, basically he's saying "fuck you, Nora" without saying "fuck you, Nora."
Right.
And just to bring it back to what I said last week when me and Jack were talking a little bit about The Sopranos, and I said I was going to call my comment for this week, my original Jay and Jack letter for this episode was me calling out the acting in this last scene and comparing it to James Gandolfini and Edie Falco in Whitecaps. And we were just talking about that episode last week. And
is that the one where he goes and punches the wall?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. And that's what I compared it to, and I don't know if I can say it's better than that, but man, it's like my first or second favorite on-screen fight between people.
Yeah.
Now that you mention that, I don't know if any of y'all have seen 6 Feet Under, but I think it's in the second season. There's a really big fight between 2 of the main characters, and it's very it's to this level.
Which 2 characters? Tell me.
Nate and Brenda.
They get pretty rough, yeah. They get pretty deep. Yep.
Yep.
Because up to this point in time in the show, we don't really see them have an altercation, right?
Who, Kevin and Nora?
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing we see is what he was referring to when she left after he told her that, he's seeing Patty, right?
Right.
And to be fair, I mean, it's kind of like, we can say this having watched this several times. Kevin's got a lot of issues, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
But so does Nora.
Yeah, but Kevin's not really taking on Nora's issues, but Nora's is kind of having to take on Kevin's issues.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like at the end where they say the explosion, Kevin looks up. That's not enough for him to go back in and check on her. I mean, I know his dad pulls up, but like earlier in the episode, he was also saying, well, I don't care where my dad is. He doesn't bother to tell me where he is. So I was like, when his dad says, are you there? Are you alone? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, you just thought there was an explosion and you don't know like what.
Well, I gotta say it, man. Kevin's fully invested on himself at this point, or at least by the next time we see him. It starts right here. I don't know. I don't know what signs look like when they come to me, but my dad being there at that exact moment, that's a sign of something. Read into it or not. A coincidental sign for sure. But I think maybe he's starting to, let's try this other way. Let's go.
I agree with Caleb though, when he, like I said, when he looks back and okay, there's an explosion, and you don't go back in and check on this woman supposedly you just loved 10 minutes ago.
And you find out all flights are grounded.
Yeah.
And like, Nora, what's her other connections? Where is she going to go? I mean,
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, it shows like how out of it he is.
Now is not the best time to like be separated from each other.
Right.
And very specifically asked by his father, "Are you alone here?" Yeah. Yes.
And not to mention, you're not in the United States. You're in a completely different country.
Right. True.
A long way from home.
Mm-hmm.
So,
as we will find out in is it the next episode? Yeah.
Kevin lost a lot of points here with this team today.
Kevin was he was. This was the least likable he was in the entire series up to this point.
He was a pretty big jerk in season 1.
Yeah, including shooting dogs, free range dog shooting.
Well, to be fair, I forgot dog killer's name.
Jack Gladfelter.
Yeah, he's telling him how to do it. But anyway, because we're both bald, I get it. Anything else you guys want to talk about this episode?
I would like to correct my earlier statement. I also episode 2 is also my favorite because of that dialogue that she has with Mark Lynn-Baker.
No.
Where actually, all joking aside, he says something incredibly important, which is that where he says, "I want to have some effing control," right?
Right.
And when we talk about themes for the entire series, or maybe it's not themes, but almost like catchphrases, that might be one of the most important ones. Like that people are trying to reassert some sort of control over their existence, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
I think because Nora is always someone who wants to be in control, and she's not.
Mm-hmm. Well, look at our beloved Kevin. I mean, he keeps losing control over his own sanity, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have Kevin, who he has the book and everything with Matt and all of his experiences that go along with that, and multiple people, John, Michael, Matt, believing it. And then you have Nora, who has lost Lily and, just ran into Christine. And, she's being torn too. So it's like there's these two parallel paths just heading for an explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like a script written in 2 different colored fonts.
Yeah. Like with the electronics and Nora not working. Like they're both just being, picked at and prodded.
like a script written in 3 columns and small
multicolored. You don't know what it says.
It really helped me this week find out different parts of the script I was trying to find. So
yeah,
channeling the inner row.
Channel my inner row. Are we back same time next week?
Same time, same bat channel.
I think we covered all the spoilers, right?
And spoilers is just kind of a way to keep us from not running off the rails in the recap, right? Basically. Right. So
sure.
Spoilers, she kind of goes into, she actually sits in the machine at some point. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's getting tense.
Mm-hmm.
A TP and a wigwam, a bit too tense.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Less than a month away from October 14th, gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Get ready.
Yeah, this year's going by. Time goes by fast now.
Yeah.
Anyway, great job. Great conversation. Thanks for everyone that joined us in the chat.
Yep.
Cool cat.
Where'd you get the cat?
This is Florence.
Oh,
Florence Nightingale.
Huh?
Florence Nightingale.
No. Florence, the other cat is named the Machine, and he's around here somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you sure there's not the Who both running around?
No.
We don't talk about them anymore.
I jumped in that joke too late, didn't I? Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't time that one right. Okay, I got it.
Anyway, on that note, we'll be back next week for episode 5, which is entitled
It's
It's
a Matt
world.
world.
Nice. Have you guys ever seen that movie?
Yes, I love that movie as a kid.
It's a great movie.
I loved it too. I love everything everyone else loves because I wouldn't want to say anything contradictory about anybody's favorite.
All right, I'll see you next week, Ethan.
Bye, everybody.